Hello, folks. Welcome back to Zimbabwe Africa. This is Chris in central Pennsylvania. Well, today's the 18th of April. So what? What does that mean? The 15th is tax day here in America. Well, the 18th of April is Independence Day, as celebrated by Zimbabwe. Today, the 18th of April, 2021, marking the 41st anniversary of Zimbabwe's independence after the end of Rhodesia and then Zimbabwe Rhodesia, or Rhodesia Zimbabwe, whichever they wanted to call it back then, the shortly lived period of time before ZANU-PF stole the election in 1980, which led to 37 years of malfeasance and malgovernance under Robert Gabriel Mugabe, persecution, murder, torture, theft of land, and accumulation of massive wealth for the privileged elite cadres in ZANU-PF. Of course, this all started pretty quickly with strange happenings in Matabele land as early as 1982-1983. Yes, in which they started killing thousands, tens of thousands of Matabele, or Ndebele, I should say. Our Secretary of State here in the United States has sent congratulations to the pariah state of Zimbabwe. What is the Manchurian cadaver up to? Sending congratulations to a corrupt police state? Why would you do that? Anthony J. Blinken, Secretary of State. On behalf of the government of the United States, I offer congratulations to the Zimbabwean people on the 41st anniversary of your country's independence. The United States supports all Zimbabweans who aspire to a peaceful, democratic, and prosperous future. To that end, we will join with the Zimbabwean people to strengthen democratic institutions, promote equitable economic growth, boost public health, and improve food security. As the people of Zimbabwe celebrate their Independence Day, we recognize their continued struggle to secure the rights and freedoms enshrined in their Constitution. We encourage the government of Zimbabwe to support reforms to advance these constitutional rights and embrace an inclusive national dialogue that upholds the universal values Zimbabweans have fought so hard to gain. Please accept my best wishes on this auspicious day. Well, it's very carefully worded, and it's addressed to the Zimbabwean people, but it's essentially congratulating ZANU-PF for their theft of democracy and liberty from 17 million Zimbabweans. You might say, wait, Chris, there aren't 17 million. No, there aren't 17 million in Zimbabwe, but that's because 4 to 5 million of them are forced to live abroad in exile because of ZANU-PF and its predation upon its citizens. This is a country that refused to seat a deputy minister of agriculture because his skin pigmentation was the wrong color, and he had the audacity to stand up and challenge and run for office. In a district that was over 99% black African, Roy Bennett won, and he won big, and he won more than once. And for that, he was beaten, assaulted. He was viciously attacked in Parliament, and then he was the one thrown in prison, not the instigator, where he was savagely abused in prison. A member of Parliament by this police state, ZANU-PF, whose crimes are legion, and the list of them is extensive. Here we sit today, 41 years after independence in Zimbabwe, a country that the world was so desperate to see succeed, looked the other way while thousands were slaughtered by the 5th Brigade, trained by the North Koreans and by the security services in Zimbabwe. The world looked the other way as Mugabe and his thugs in ZANU-PF accumulated billions of dollars for themselves, used the national airline as their pet transportation project, and used the 63 million pounds the British government provided over a decade's length of time to purchase farms, not for war veterans, not for poor black Africans, but for themselves. The world watched as in 2000, after Mugabe ran out of options when he tried to get a constitutional amendment essentially giving him all power, and the country refused to give it to him, he ran out of options. So his only option was to turn on the commercial farmers who made the country prosperous and blame them for poverty and wealth disparity in the country. When in fact, point of fact, we all know the reason that there was wealth disparity and poverty is because the elites in ZANU-PF were busy pilfering the state and stealing everything they get their hands on, undermining the currency and stealing the state's reserves. Not because of commercial farms, which employed over 700,000 Zimbabweans, provide housing for most of those people as well. These livelihoods were disrupted and destroyed with a racist lie and narrative by Mugabe and his thugs in ZANU-PF, with their constant condescending, racist, kith and kin commentary, accusing white Zimbabweans of not being Zimbabweans, even though some of them have been there longer than some African groups have been in Zimbabwe, or just as long. And the constant narrative of Zimbabwean colonialism as if the colonial period lasted for a millennia, when in fact it only began in 1890 and was over by 1965. And even if you want to extend Rhodesia as part of that, because the black population was oppressed, we can go to 1979. 89 years. Yet Mugabe, who lived to be 93, he lived longer than the colonial period. His life was longer than the entire colonial period. Constantly gave the impression to the easily misled, the gullible, that colonialism was an evil that lasted millennia, the way he presented it. Yeah, so congratulations to Zimbabwe on 41 years of theft and destruction, misery, and predation on the people of Zimbabwe. But to the Zimbabwean people, some of the nicest and most polite and pleasant people I've ever met on the planet, by and large, to the Zimbabwean people who, when they go abroad, work so hard to contribute and be part of whatever society they're in, whether it's South Africa, the United States, the United Kingdom, wherever you find them, they contribute. Whether they're white or black, it does not matter. But in Zimbabwe itself, most of them can't go there because they lack free speech, they lack freedom of movement, they lack property rights, they lack all reasonable rights that people expect, especially when there's a constitution guaranteeing that in Zimbabwe. Not to mention the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is abrogated by ZANU-PF as well. So on this 41st anniversary of the independence of Zimbabwe, I suggest to you that it wasn't independence, but simply oppression by a black liberation movement that isn't interested in governing, but rather in pilfering, stealing, and abusing. So congratulations, ZANU-PF. You're still getting away with it. You've changed one tyrant for another tyrant who's even more repressive, if one can imagine that, than his predecessor. Mugabe, 37 years, and now the crocodile has been in office, despite the fact that he resigned from office, fled the country, and was no longer a government official. He was illegally installed by Constantine Chiwengo in a coup. That's correct. And then illegitimately won the next election after the opposition was oppressed, demonstrators were shot by security forces. That's the independence that Zimbabwe has. The only independence is for the 4 or 5 million people who fled the country and live safely elsewhere. Well, folks, happy Independence Day, Zimbabwe. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Chris Wyatt. God bless.